Welcome to Path of Life Tales. I'm your old friend, and tonight, I want to set a wective ones. The first story comes from a listener's. Sins for the listener's submission with testers. When I first read the but because of that Terrason, but I cannot completely design for you. But I cannot completely deny. That was designed for you. But I completely could sign for you. Before we cut a question. Few a size/3 size, but you are a body for. Booty a prefer, but your body were preferred. Anyway, Birdie preferred to prefer to her approve. Please give yourself a hug. If for two were tonight, please clues to his self, please clues to please clue it, please clues but please clues to clues through the lies through the lies to push you in that direction anyways to disc in its direction anyway. If you have, please give yourself a hug. Because you are not alone. We could prefer Vince Dag. We could call her as. She is 39 way as she is 39 ways 39 marrieds, be a brief or side freed. He and her husband have a good relationship ways, in her own words destry, but beauty far. Deddy fruity sigen stady, but over the past few, bester sister. Which do you prefer? Bid you could prefer, being Domini's freeway size drakes, being freeway size to comply size to being treated, like property, c. Pitiful way to earth fleeted freedy for seaway, c. Fanny fleety for seaway, seaway. Content to Purcell, she even became curious. We even became curious way it on, she even came to in ways. She even below us to freeways for your destined ways for your freeways for your dester ways for his dester for your dester vase free for vase for so ways face phrase favor for vaser for your daces vaser for your dester sester so if. She even be aid and she even became to say with your daces but des with, does it feel like to have a man finish on her face? We faced on faced for with ways, with it. But also. By NC, he said two way, you would see, B. Feel bout. Book of fucking for destered away do we. Freeway to free with destered. If he could freeway to freed away. Good at that at a freeway to freeway. Like they lie to freedy, lie to fi to like. But due besides, it's the second ways. That desire was not fulfilled but we could prefer, we could burned more quietly, but more intensely. Then the ecstatic sass days would be comfort for your cassin sashin, a man in High Street 40 for his 21st or swashter, for way I could have been, handsome confident, see it to see what I can cornice. And Harry on homes to corny see it to conface, she can corny see it, and she'll see a sactor hell, and she'll talk to him. She went to see way she, when we could prefer she went to with him, she knelt down. Everything happened very quickly with her. At one point, she thought of her husband. She stopped it, almost done. And she see to see, he had an extenti streeway sashin sasser, he had an ass. When he finished dester, would left it on her face. We could check to what I could home we could purr. Seaway we could code. Swallowed her like a tidal wave seaway. Be a brew it feely, but I feel like we preferred freeway. My husband's dignity, along with mine, we could be accorded to see for the courage to kiss him anymore. You would be with 2% to one. Sentence to all married women, men with sentence to all married women. Don't destroy a life you'd prefer. Don't destroy a life you could have had. For a moment of desire, beer way strees. Dear listeners, streeway strees. Dear listeners, streeway streely. Dear listeners, streeway. They start exonerly story. Which do you prefer for that? If we only prefer for treeways, we prefer do we miss the deepest part of it? Bid first duly foresights do it. Which do we prefer? Big biddy for this self can lose. For this is a self can lose control in real life. Bidway with psychologists, Carl with psychologist to collegist call the concept, call the shadow, those parts of psygens, those parts of ourselves that are not accepted by society. We could buy ourselves, be a preferred full of per full. It could be aggression. It could prefer a desire to pour, a desire to be dominated percent or any unpresentable longing. Or any unpresentable longing noms or any alms and almonds at, it is longs or inquissing with wixelsins at all with ones of waises that is it good. It could cool, it could good could cube, it could be aggression, a notion, a mute for control, a desire decide on fester, a spes beside the sport beside this, with spat shadow, a lage decide bethon despal beside bespied beside bespied beside decide 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 beside decide 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 beide being a good wide decide 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 beside decide 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 doing the side decide to the side decide decide. But the shadow does not disappear it. Beauty for a destiny, at perhaps it acts. Self or destiny which do a destiny perhaps it acts. Hormonal shifts at perhaps hormonal shifts. Beautiful, perhaps the natural, purple, perhaps the naturalish. Sivo, I for Sivo, which do we, Sivo, whisper Sivo, with he tried. Sivo, which do we try to will rullers there, quite prover to we, that was Sivo, we didn't burly, we didn't perceive, but he prober camperly prober, he was Sivo, that he was not Sivo, they would not prover we receiver to Sivo, they were Sivo, we would Sivo, shameful, and real self street self, and real self find the way self find their dollar ways, when they respond lightly, which it's just a phase with it a feel, for third to provend, beauty fark in person bitter, for a freeder, ways. Be a freeway socks, while we perfard. But we could poment for the destere size, philosophers have debated for centuries to per-centuries are humans of our ways. We can percent, or defer senses of our driven by desire, or driven by desire. You would prefer sasses, moment exodacy, which do is not decide, exerdace sire, exerdice dasters, with reason to sass to us. She knew it was wrong. Exterday saster, if she would do, and she knew it she thought if she saw it a two-way, or it's cy, quarter cy, Months of desperation with Molly must to present, fantasy long ways with mots of ways, from not being understood, curiosity and fear of self. Sester laws, sester with sester laws, boy 44, we could equal 40 for sat of ways, while we could we crafter, sad way, city freeway sats, sad by waysy, sad did we sad be, sad ways we sad be physical, sad bays, there sad blazy, sad bless z, sad blood blaz sad blah z blag blah z da sad blah z da sad dat sad da z da das da zez da da But what comes after that's what comes out to this? What comes to what kills you? I would call this the quote of the night. Some listeners may wonder, which do you prefer? Some listeners may wonder, why did the part that hurt her most become what he did? To her face, dear friends, Dester is not just an act, in psychology, in sexly, but to en, in sexly and sexly, not connection treeways, but an extreme with stream side be a stream with our Dallin spreeway, but an extreme way side be a sad sideway. You are the receiver, you are exist for me. In her fantasy psalm de sax theways, s, long de sac to d-ways, but between fantaside, infanticide submission, is safely concide. And if we control decide the saxt of a private garden, but in reality when a stranger truly calls you a slut, and leaves his slut and leaves his mark on your face, suddenly realize, you will be with tasty. Subnut or instiff, I am not playing a role, I am playing a role. I have become something disposable, we could have been to see, didn't do us. We could have, she could accept being dominated. By she doing side to courting side, it could accept be in, but she could not accept it from a stranger. Be a beauty fair, safe feeler, safe Streeford both of it. Freeway, moment, save to us? She wasn't for free west to save. She was shattered by reaster. We was chatting with shit at safe died. It's just save.8 with safe.at safe.x. She was at safe.safety. She was shattered by reality. Safe.at. You could prefer he hesitated for her. We could prefer he could chate to his? The telly would take he to say is preferred. Let's loosen. K listen, let's look with an Asian girl. For several years listen, lesson, let's look. Let's look, loosen, lesson, let's look, saucin, let's look, sessin, let's look with loosen, listen, look with loosen, listen, let's look with loosen, listen, loosen, let's look with listen, listen, let's listen, let's look. Let's looks, list. Cleese listen. K listen, lose him in a listen within a listen in a listen whiz But look at a free wait for it. Looking back with some being bare list of. But look at our desert with freeway, something way. There might never have been real spark between them. Philly feeling. Video freeful video fire which do with streeful video fire. It's remorse at the surface. Never bubbles. What are you preferred? That is if you list for the reality to Suri streeway were nothing. With nothing was wrong, but nothing feels quite right. But more like roommate, beauty full waist, beauty fruidity. Full waist to beauty fluvady. That's sparked whiz. Dac ways. dot 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 size dot 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 until one dot 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 dexterity, filthy fucked or two-way, wit, uxt, inquisitive, which friends will praise, something which you tea. After hesitating shows do we preferred as we prefer she could preferred as we could exped. We could prefer slack to we could expect their sactons and endily and toad. And all their friends saw it. The old way size of weighty dots of our low station width of our Asian friend group. Some defended who would do some defended. Who would do some defended? Her would do some defended who would be in. Ectomid or some defended who would be in. A close circle, plus freeway sides with cord. Davy Fizzer has tried to repair things to return to how it was. We can tell a broken size test, bistant, absent, bistant. Physically there, but emotional bistant. Physically there, but emotionally gone. Did you at K finally Connery confronted her? Which do you prefer? Science confronted her finds kindling to connerate him. She said the experiency with that man. With where we prefer, she said. The experiency was on another level. The side sacks things, and the few as side sacks things, side Kay asked for desternale some. Sometimes we preferred some percent. We could prefer C. Pitter for sides of body vady. For size of court we will prefer size of bizy. By a side sizey. For sides of preside we will bod sides of the side of. We will precise of presides of presides of preside of precise of preside of presides of presides of precise of presags of presag, that is sides of presides of sees as if sides of his sides as of me as of me if they made her feel completely filled filled in a way for in way so way we they fear experience period. So we even said otherwise. Then she said the most devastating line. He made me feel like a woman. Imagine that yesterday is. This is not just rejection. You prefer the person you loved. The person you loved. Be a kind to stay sides, but even more cruel to of a freeway. Which do you or two-way star dot two or allo? Could be or two or dull. Two dollar dollar two dollar, but be a duster flies. Good at the freeway ways do we see. Seaway can pre-way see percent classes someone disposable, some way disposable, some way can be percent for the freeway some way, we be, with, SCA, which do we perforce, now we see, his pain deepen, him deepen too, his pain deepened into humiliates, she took his place too well situation, ironically sweeter, what did you prefer Cell Streeter? That man left a Cell Street. When they could sail Cell Streeter? Do you see the pattern? But man didn't love her preferred you. That man didn't love her preferred the next girl who loved a replaceable type. He loved a replaceable type. In the 7 destiday state or skibble with the stable, with the skep states destidays. To the destiday states destiday state of, he said, digressy vin winsty. But he may accept to a dester to a dinus, but bis freeway is a distant side of first. When she's a grab, it is her feeling sieve-shaped. By an end, you are not lacking your sides who could prefer. So we could treely would up, second dester you will in way show. With but we could be. With second daster 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 das daster daster das daster das daster 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 das 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 daster das 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 das. No, because he never intended to. You wanted sign the sides die stays to the side sides die side the side the side side. But trauma per cater is for the trauma. Makes us a both fear and crave. What hurt us at s, but as you prefer. But as you rebuild yourself and meet someone, he would build yourself and meet someone who truly values you, you will realize that what you really want is someone who can laugh with you, cry with you in some wise, you and call with you and sit beside you in silence. Still feel happiness. One of the cruelest acts vertices. One of the cruelest acts is always sized to one way sum. One way Sam was 30 way Sam was sassed to wheeze by sun way sax das sax says das sax says dax das das dash das 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 that das das that says that is being compared by says that says when no way no long way loves you. But remember the destination, would you prep with remember? We comparison, if the language of desire, not the language of love, and every one of us stumbled at some point s, x, 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 x dot exact at x dot xx. If you've listened to this story tonight, if you've listened to Live Into Stories, we've listened to so, fare free to leave a comment, and feel free to leave a fare free to listen to stories in a Exeter 1x. X dot x dot x dot dot x 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 dot 2. Fitter to listen to this story, bare fister size taste, to a size taster. The views of flow sizens, we could king, but we prefer to iller we perspect.